All my life, I wanted to be a gangster. From Atlantic City, New Jersey, Parris Island, South Carolina, BFE, Idaho, Norman, Oklahoma, Colorado Springs, and all points in between. This here is the art of floundering and Spanky's Puppets and Comics. Want to wish each and every one of you nothing but peace and love as we begin tonight's episode, a departure, if you will. Ethical Dilemmas in Life 2.0. Welcome to the big show. Hey gang, it's me, your good pal, Will D. And we're live right here, right now, on the YouTube. I want to say, hey man, peace and love to everybody out there. We got some comments, man. What's up? Hey. Please don't expect much in tonight's episode, as we are doing a combo stream, if you will. You see, we're streaming to the vertical as well to the horizontal. We're going both ways tonight. A lot of people don't like talking about stuff like that, but at this point in my life, fuck it. I'm going both ways tonight. I don't care if you know. You know what I'm saying? That's right. For those of you out there, happy Easter. For it come to pass that on this day, the Easter Bunny got high. Anyway, gang. So, I'm kind of tripping out. I hope you like the visuals. I'm going to be working on these. You know. It's really weird. Can I tell you something? I'm starting to kind of... It's like everybody has got a freaking podcast, man. I mean, I was kind of like on the YouTube, and it's like, you know, mafia guys are like, you know, hey, man, I'm Sammy the Bull Gravano, and I'm here to talk on my podcast. It's like, holy fuck, dude. And there's this other guy going, yo, hey, this is what we did in prison, man. This is how we worked out. And it's interesting shit, but I'm like, you know, how, you know, look, there's a gazillion choices of stuff out there, man, to consume. You know, so if you drop in on this, thank you, man. I wish I was doing puppets tonight so I can show that, hey, man, there's a reason why you need to be here. But tonight we're just going to talk about ethical dilemmas, man. You see, I'm on Life 2.0. What that means is I've got a second chance at life. Now, I'm also older than God's dog. But one of the things that I don't want to do is make the same type of mistakes I made in Life 1.0. I don't want to be a douchebag. I don't want to say something and do something else. I don't want to sell my soul to the company store, you know? All that kind of bullshit. But more importantly, and this is going to sound hippie, and I'm sorry, man. And I apologize. I don't mean to, like, get too hippie, okay? So trust me, this is not going to be some hippie lecture fucking stream. But, you know, I feel like that that I should be doing something with this Life 2.0 besides, you know, getting high, which is a lot of fun, I'm not gonna lie, and like, you know, sort of slacking my way into fucking oblivion. Now that's attractive. Make no mistake about it. But I don't want to be the same guy. I don't want to be a part of a system that's serving itself at the expense of everyone else. And this is pretty much any system. Let me give you an example. Whatever fucking organization you work at, I don't care what it is. Let's pretend somebody gets hurt at work. Now, I'm not saying this is always the response. There are some decent people in the world. But by and large, my experience has been when you go to one of the fucking pinheads at whatever organization it is you work at, and you go, hey, Billy got hurt. The corporate pinhead's not going to go, oh, gee whiz, man, what can we do to help Billy? The corporate pinhead's going to go, oh, fuck, what's our exposure? I'll never forget. I was at work once, and this is one of these complicated environments where there's different contracts. Long story short, some dude would work for a different company that did data entry. Boom. Fell over, died. Aneurysm, kind of died before he hit the ground. Now dig this. The company that had the data entry contract, before they actually had this, the only, quote, employees they had were convicts, man. You know, that they were paying like a penny a day and shit. So they were really struggling with having to follow labor laws. I mean, they were just like, what do you mean we got to pay these people? This isn't right. You know, it was just crazy company. Anyway, so this dude drops dead. And this fucking douchebag site manager goes, holy fuck, now I gotta fill out all this fucking paperwork. And to make matters worse, this was a government contract. The extra 50 cents per employee benefit that was supposed to, some of which was supposed to be going to their life insurance. Well, this douchebag fucking company, well, they weren't paying any insurance. They were pocketing that. And it wasn't like this life insurance was big time. They came up with the 25 large. Now, to be honest with you, they still probably made out. Some asshole in this fucking company was like, you know what? I've run the actuary tables, and I got with the good pals over at Risk Management, and it looks like we can not pay benefits, and we won't have as many people die, so we can make money even if X amount of people die. Well, gee whiz there, Bert. You've got upper management written all over you there, pal. I got a better idea. Why don't we go D-job? So anyway, that was their fucking shit. I mean, they were just fucking heinous. So this exists everywhere. So I don't want to do that. So here I am, Life 2.0. I'm older than God's dog. On paper, you know, if somebody looks at like the way I used to be able to bullshit fucking reality, my resume looks pretty good, right? If it was 2016. But it's 10 years later, dude. And so I'm out there on this fucking quest to, and this is where it gets hippie. And I'm going to explain something to you. After not being able to walk for 7 years, after not being able to sit for 7 years, after all the pain and doing all this crazy shit with my head to try not to think about my present state, because I knew if I really took time to process what was going on, I wouldn't want to be here. My goal was to ignore as much as I could and hang on as long as I could for medical science to catch up, for all those no's to become a yes. And it happened. I made this promise, this hippie promise. It's in 2017, and long story short, I was laying in a pool of blood, and I thought right then and there I could leave this plane of existence. And the universe was like, fuck it, dude. You're screwed. We're cool with it. Why don't you come on home? And I was thinking about it. But then the universe is like, hey, look, you can stay. No promises. It's probably going to suck. You're going to lose your career. You already know that. You're going to lose this house. Get ready for that. You're going to lose every dime you have. Prepare yourself for that. The universe is telling me there in that moment. If you hang here, and there's no guarantees, the universe said, that you're going to get any better. But it might be good for a couple of laughs. So I made a promise right then and there that I would do whatever I had to do mentally to just wait, to just ignore no's, ignore pain, ignore the fact that my vision of retirement, of golfing and tapping hotties has now changed. Now I'm trying to avoid assisted living, at best. So anyway, long story short, I was successful in this quest, but I didn't do dick. All I did was smoke weed and try to create puppet shows while everything else in my life descended into chaos and I ignored it. Year before my surgery, I was in a dark basement. Fuck it. It just became normal. So, I'm about 3 years post-surgery. It took a long time. It's spine surgery. 8 different breaks kind of thing. So, it took a while to build up strength. And it sounds silly, but just, 4 hours is exhausting. But I knew I wanted to do something. Because the reality is this, man. And this is why I'm like apolitical. I'll joke about what's going on in the world and people confuse that for politics. But I don't give a rat's ass, man, what you're into. Because I look at the number of people that were involved in helping me. And I'm not just talking about doctors, nurses. I'm talking about all the people who did the paperwork, the people who did the shots, the people who ran the tests, the people at the hospital, on and on and on and on and on. It's a lot of people. Probably a lot of those people didn't see the world the way I saw it. We probably, but they helped me, despite the fact that they probably knew, like, you know what, I probably don't see the world the way this guy sees the world, but I'm going to help him anyway. That's pretty kind of cool. And I know that's hippie, and you say shit like that, you got these guys that'll come out the woodwork and go, you sound like a beta. You're right. Yeah, sure. I'm older than God's dog, man. I'm not here to fucking impress anybody. I just want to get through the day and be able to look at myself in the mirror and go, you were less of a douchebag today than you were yesterday. So your overall douchebag trajectory is douchebagging trajectory down. But so now here I am. I've been doing this thing for about almost 2 years now. This is not a career. It has nothing to do with a career. I'm certainly not doing it for the bread. Trust me. But I took this job at a Title I school. The job title is called Study Hall Supervisor. Now, what that really is in-school suspension. And it's a middle school Title I, which means, for those you don't know, economically disadvantaged. Now, the kids that are in this middle school that I see, the type of problems that they have are not like mommy's on Valium and dad plays golf too much. Right? It's like my dad's in prison till 2039 and my mom almost overdosed on heroin last night. So I didn't get any sleep. And so, I took this particular thing because I realized, hey, no one's going to want to do this. No one in their right mind is going to want to do this fucking thing for this money. I said, fuck it, it'll be a trip. This is how I'll pay back the universe. Well, they turfed this kid last year. I spent 7 months last year with this kid in my detention room. Now, keep in mind, I have a different style. I realized the very first day, I've never worked in fucking education. Now, I've been a degenerate. I told him that in the interview. I said, hey, look, I can definitely, relate to the overall degenerates that you've got here because I am a degenerate. I didn't tell him I was. Now, I kind of played, I'm reformed and I will model the appropriate behavior. Now, I was pretty upfront with him, except about the weed smoking. I didn't tell him I was a fucking pothead. So, anyway, I think they're starting to figure that out. But I'm looking at all this shit and these are middle school kids. And once again, I'm not a shrink. My background is, my education's in engineering and business. That's not exactly someone that you would think that would be, that's like, fuck it, I'm 60 right now. I started this fucking thing, I was 58. Okay? I take care of my mom, I go do this thing. And I kind of got into it with the people working at the school. My second week there, I'm like, look, man, I can't do what you want me to do. Coming down on these fucking kids the way you want me to come down on them, I'm not fucking Freud, but I'm thinking it's going to cause a fucking problem. I'll never forget him in his meeting, with the principal when I'm talking to her about this, and she's trying to talk me into staying. She's really cool. And I said, look, I'll give you an example. This fucking kid pulls a fucking fake gun at another kid and all this kind of shit. And they try to sweep it under the carpet because they don't. It's the same as fucking business. Oh, fuck. We can't actually report it that way. So instead of saying what it actually is, we're going to use different words. Like, for example, I started noticing that instead of saying fighting, and trust me, this was a fucking gladiator academy last year, dude. I mean, it was flat out fucking Fight Club, dude. I mean, the logic was like this. And keep in mind, these are fucking middle school kids that the whole world is fucking shit on. The whole world does not give a fuck about these kids. They just don't. We say we do, right? And I'll get to that because that's the fucking dilemma I'm having right now. So anyway, and I'm telling her, and I said, look, man, I was in the Marines, and da 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 da. I know how to be a hard ass. And, you know, once they're kind of out of this trauma, yeah. But right now, man, it's got to be like a depth touch. I couldn't explain it to her. So she let go, and that's been my approach. It's been weird, man. I could tell you, I'm no expert, but there's not been one kid I've not been able to, quote, connect with. Well, we got this one. Oh, gee whiz, he fucking beat up a cop and he fucking did this. He fucking ran rampant. And I'll be able to connect with him. Not because I'm a great guy. Just because life has beaten me up so much that I actually listen to what these kids say. That's it. And pay attention. But getting back to this kid they put in with me last year, it's this whole rigmarole bullshit. And the whole rigmarole bullshit was like, he's a knucklehead, right? And if they can't keep him in class, because if they do that, he's going to continue to go down the knucklehead path, and they'll have to suspend him. Then if they suspend him, what's going to fucking happen? There's no place for him to go. So they had to like get the fucking system aligned and all this fucking bullshit to be able to get him into the right program. And I'm like, right on, okay, that I'll get into. But it was like I got really frustrated last year because I'm like a really chill dude. But now I am. But I had to like resort back to the kind of guy I used to be before my accident in 2016, to fucking type A, fucking douchebag, guy. So I'm just like going like, what the fuck? How long does it take somebody to fucking fill out a form and approve something? We've been jerking this kid around. And I had to like get in fucking people's faces, and I'm the fucking principal and this other douchebag dean do nothing. He was like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, all you guys are giving me is a bunch of fucking management fucking problems, right? Give me solutions. The way I was talking to him was like crazy town. But it was because I felt like they were not looking out for this kid. They were looking out for softening what was really anyway. But the reality is, when I tell you that I was unable to walk and function in the world for all those years, that means I didn't have real conversations. One of the biggest challenges I had and still have is just a lot of people. I'll go into panic attacks sometimes. It used to be really bad. The first year out of surgery, man, I was having panic attacks left and right. Couldn't control it. Now I'm better at it, and that's a different episode. But this is so fucking hippie. And, if you watch my puppet shows, this is like the direct opposite, because this is like real and not comedy. This is like, but this kid was the first person I interacted with in years and had like a real conversation, like in the physical world, So you can't help bonding with that. So long story short, I said, I'm going to give it another year because, I dig these kids, and I don't want to be another fucking douchebag that fucking, descends in their life, they connect with and fucking bolts. Because what am I going to fucking do, right? I take care of my mom. It's not, and I'm just looking for something to do that's decent. It's not like I'm looking for make bread. It's not like I'm looking to fucking, you know. But where I'm at now is I came back this year and I made a promise. I'm not gonna fucking call these fucking people out. You know, there's an exception to this, which I'll tell you about. But I'm just, I'm just gonna do whatever. So I just was, just rolled with it. But like where I'm at, the school, I'm good with it. However, the district which the school reports to, they're fucked up. And I'm not going to get into the details, but the ethical dilemma I have is like, how can I dig these kids and I don't want to leave working with them. But this entity that I'm aligned with in order to work with the kids doesn't have their best interests at heart. And they're going to, run something into the ground intentionally so they can. It's just a whole. It's so disappointing. Once again, I don't know anything about public education. And my experience has only been 2 school years as a study hall supervisor, not a teacher. The person that's supposed to be the disciplinarian, which I'm not. Every fucking kid that comes in there, man, it depends. I mean, there's some that need to like, shut the fuck up, Johnny. That kind of shit. But for the most part, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? We're going to send somebody in there that was sleeping and told their teacher to go fuck themselves. Okay. Hey, look, don't do that again. Anyway. So that's the dilemma, and I'll figure it out. But I miss being I miss having somebody to be able to share these kind of things with. When you get to my age, your mentors die. And you find yourself kind of navigating this shit all on your own, trying to figure out what's the answer, right? I don't give a flying fuck about a career prospect. What is the right thing that I'm supposed to do in this situation? So I'll figure it out. Enough of that bullshit. I know this is a lot more. This is boring. And I understand that. But just bear with me. We'll have filth later this week. I do want to share something over on Charlie Wood. Charlie Wood. My good friend Camp Gmail, Gary, and I are partnering over on Charlie Wood every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Do the math. I believe that's 7. But anyway, just go to the Charlie Wood, hit the thing. And it's a call-in show. And you can call and you can talk to Charlie or Satan, and you could ask questions, dude. And look, we're gonna make a bunch of different options. If you want to come on and be on the panel, you can do it that way. Or if you're, a lot of people want to talk to Satan, but they kind of want to do it on the down low, and we want to create a mechanism for that. So, but at the end of the day, everything that I've been babbling about is a fucking luxury. These are not problems. Everything I'm talking about are choices that I get to make. I don't have a gun to my head. I have free will. I can make choices. So, this is not like, woe is me. Oh, golly gosh. No, I mean, I'm pretty happy, man. If I don't pay attention to a lot of things, I'm happy, right? If I just mind my own fucking business and say, hey, okay, everybody's mad at one another and everybody's gonna fucking yell at one another. That's cool. I'm just gonna try to do something that's helpful. That's and then you guys go do that. You guys go yell. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying I'm exhausted. I'd rather fuck than fight. I didn't mean it that way. That was raunchy. Gee golly gosh, that was wrong of me to have said something like that. By the way, as I'm watching this animation, I'm going to be adding some more stuff. So there's more stuff for you to look at because I realize probably it's a good probability that people that would stumble on this might be a little bit high. And people that are high have a tendency to want to have a lot of different things to, quote, zone out on because that's what they like when they're tripping out on pot. So I try to be sensitive to the users out there, but there's not enough trippy stuff going on here, and we'll fix that, okay? And we'll also make things a little bit longer and have a little bit more for you guys to look at in the background besides, puppet sets. But what's interesting is all the stuff you're looking at, if you give a shit, is all of this is like part of a world that I created when I was hurt, and I just stumbled into this shit. I, got high one night and just live streamed a puppet doing crazy stuff, and I thought, this might be fun. I'm immature, and this way I can act out my immaturity and no one can see my face. So like if I'm running for Congress, although I gave that up, not running for well, I gave that up too, but I also gave up worrying about it. But this was at the time. But anyway, so they just started becoming more and more elaborate. And then when I couldn't, what you're seeing in the background, I'd have the puppets in front of there interacting, right? And then when I couldn't, hold my arms up, because that's hard on the back, believe it or not, is holding on to a puppet. If you got a spinal injury, that's, ooh. So when I was no longer able to do that, which was about almost 2 years before the surgery, that I started animating the puppets, and that's when it started getting kind of crazy because I wasn't just limited to puppets. So that's the story of this craziness. And I try to have my own brand, if you will, or signature to my sets. You might notice a lot of urban blight and just general trash everywhere, and well, that's all intentional. That's, I believe it or not, I that's my art. But I don't expect anybody to understand, get it, but this is how I express myself, and this is what resonates to me, is that. I like that as a scene for a lot that's going on. So anyway, later this week, we are going to be doing another live episode of The Amazing Slacker. As a reminder, The Amazing Slacker is a somewhat autobiographical of yours truly, trumped up to make me feel even better by fantasizing. But The Amazing Slacker is a superhero that in times of chaos gets high, descends upon the chaos, and does absolutely nothing. We're going to be rebroadcasting our live episode. I wasn't happy with my performance. It'll be The Amazing Slacker Part 3. How can I reach these kids, man? Can you dig it? In Part 1 and 2, we got to see what happens after the Amazing Slacker is able to rejoin the world. He had surgery, is no longer in pain. He's able to participate in the world, but somehow he lost his way a little bit. And instead of following the bong smoke, he decided to follow Tinder. And by following Tinder, he quickly found himself on a, quote, date with Norma Jean, who, despite what she posted in her profile, the reality was a gal that looked to be tweaking on meth and needed to do a better job disciplining and / training the 4 dogs that she had jump in the car for the first part of our date, or Amazing Slacker's date. You have to watch it. Amazing Slacker realized that he wasn't following the power of the bong smoke, dude. Had he done that, this never would have happened. He'd been hanging out in the bar with his good pal Eddie Garcia, having Sapphire smoke his marijuana cigarette. But instead of doing that, he decided to chase romance on Tinder. Now, I haven't been participating in the world for about a long time, 10 years now. My God. Holy fuck. Wow. I just have to process that, man. I apologize. Wow. That's a long time. Sorry, I got sidetracked with that. So anyway, that's what happens when you don't follow the bong smoke. But as I was saying, even though it's been 10 years, even I know that Tinder's not a place to find romance. Maybe it is. Maybe it's changed. But for the Amazing Slacker, he found himself in not a meth house, as Norma Jean tried to mount the sex chair and encourage him to play along. So if that's the kind of content that interests you, check out episode 1 and 2. We've done both those live. But we're going to continue on. Now, we kind of got sidetracked with it being Easter, and I also did Easter Bunny, the truth about all that. If you're into biblical history, you know, if you're just kind of like you know, I don't. This is like you got to have a pretty strong faith foundation because what we get into may crack it because it's based off some recently discovered scriptures that a lot of the big churches have been suppressing, for lack of a better word. But what happened was this, man. It's Easter. I'll tell you the story. Are you ready? Let's do it. And it come to pass that in 2026, a young Ed Garcia was noticing that a lot of people were out getting high, talking about how they either grew or had a dispensary or weed pusher man that was delivering them the very best of the pot. Edward was confused. How can everybody say their pot's the best? Surely there must be one pot that is the best, and that's the pot that I want to commit my life to. So Ed went out to the sacred hemp grove to get high, dude. And as he was blasting grass and getting high on the narcotic, the pot, Ed started to ponder the essential truths of life, dude. And Ed was like, man, am I fucking high. But I wish I knew which weed was the best. I mean, this is some pretty righteous fucking shit. Just then, it come to pass that a light fucking shined through. Boom. Over, and it was piercing fucking Ed's eyes. And he was like, owie. And Ed saw personages, dude, with a bong. And he said, I am the weed spirit guy, dude. Behold, Ed. Behold my herb. Behold the specter of me, the weed spirit guide. And Ed was speechless. But then Ed said, I gotta know, dude. I gotta know. Everybody, weed spirit guide, is saying their weed's the best. What weed is the best? And the weed spirit guide said, it's all shit, Ed. All of it. Even what you think is good is shit. And it's an abomination in his eyes, Ed. Him. He is fucking pissed, dude, that this weed sucks so bad. Ed's like, I don't get it, dude. That don't track. And the weed spirit guy broke open the fucking plates, dude, and he said, look, this is the book of hemp. You're going to have to translate a lot of this shit, dude, because I'm too fucking high to read right now. But I'll go ahead and read from the chapter in the book of hemp. Chapter Peter the Hemp Tail. Here we go. Real quick, for those of you that are really orthodox in your views, first off, the last thing I want to do is offend anybody. I don't want to belittle, I mean this sincerely. I don't want to belittle anybody's worldview, the way they see the world, their philosophy. They're all beautiful. Okay? So, but the truth may be tough to take. So, from the book of hemp, Peter, chapter 1, verse 1. And it come to pass that Jesus was tripping balls in the desert. Father, Father, said Jesus, are these machine elves a part of my marijuana trip, Or is it the adversary coming down to fuck up my high? Said Jesus. And it come to pass that after a couple of days of blasting grass and snorting lines of the pot in the desert, Jesus descended upon the apostles and said, "Yo, apostles, I got a pretty cool idea. Why don't we get all twisted on the pot and ride donkeys into Jerusalem?" said Jesus. That's right, blast the grass. Once again, and it come to pass that Jesus descended upon the apostles and said, "Behold, for I believe we need to blast grass, trip on the pot, and ride donkeys into Jerusalem," said Jesus. And it come to pass that Apostle Buzzkill said, "Hey, Jesus, dude, as much as we did getting high with you, and it's a real righteous time, the Romans are being real Mr. Poopy Pants about the pot. And they see us riding donkeys doing the pot, they're gonna fuck with us pretty bad. I don't think we should risk it, Jesus." And Jesus wept. Jesus said, "Hey, fuck stick. How the fuck am I supposed to, with any kind of fucking street cred," said Jesus to the apostles, "how am I going to have any fucking street cred if I'm trying to fucking lay down the fucking knowledge of getting high, if I'm in fact straight? What kind of jive ass bullshit is that?" said Jesus. This is from Peter chapter 1 in the book of Hemp. And it come to pass that Peter, the hemp tail, descended upon the scene and said, "Yo, Jesus, I believe I got the solution to your problem, brother." And it come to pass that Jesus said, "Yo, am I still tripping on that pot from the desert? Or is this actually a really talking bunny?" The name's Peter the Hemptail. And let me tell you something, Jesus. I got a way around those Roman guards. Check these out. Just then, Peter showed two huge chocolate eggs. "Behold, Jesus," said Peter the Hemptail, "these are hemp-infused chocolate eggs." And it come to pass that Jesus said, "Will they have the same spiritual impact as when I snort lines of the pot or inhale it in smoke form?" Peter Hemptail produced a hemp-infused chocolate egg and said, "Hey, Jesus, why don't you fuck on one of these, man? Come on, Jesus, why don't you fuck on one of these hemp-infused chocolate eggs, dude?" And Jesus did fuck on one of those hemp-infused chocolate eggs, and it was good. And it come to pass that Jesus was feeling the effects of the hemp-infused chocolate egg. "Yo," said Jesus, "this weed be banging, yo. I'm high as a motherfucker," said Jesus. From the book of Hemp, Peter chapter 1. And as Jesus was singing the praises and the glorification and the beautification of the hemp-infused chocolate eggs, Peter said, "Hey, Jesus, guess what? The Romans will never know this is the narcotic, the pot. I got a surprise for you." Just then, two beautiful fucking donkeys showed up, man, with huge saddlebags filled with hemp-infused chocolate eggs. And Jesus and Peter the Hemptail got high as motherfuckers on hemp-infused chocolate eggs and rode donkeys into Jerusalem. And that is the story of Easter. The Ten Commandments. That's the story of Easter there, Book of Hemp. So, didn't mean to get sidetracked. But hey, I want to thank everybody for watching. It's time to sign off. Please like and subscribe to this. I promise you the content normally is different. I normally don't talk. I let the puppets do the talking, and that seems to be better than me. With that said, I do want to say peace and love. Be good to one another, all that kind of hippie bullshit. You don't need some guy on the internet telling you how to live your life. Do you? See you around campus. Thanks a lot for watching, man. From all of us to all of you, good night.